Now I'm going to tell you about India's soft policy, soft diplomacy. The essay name is very simple. India's soft diplomacy. This is India's soft diplomacy is paving a path for its global leadership. India's soft diplomacy is paving a path for its global leadership. This was an essay I have taken earlier for target top 10 of APPSC students. Fortunately, it had come into our APPSC Group 1 mains, and therefore the importance of this essay is inevitable for our UPSC mains too. Next, the sources that I have taken are usually Press Information Bureau and also the Sunset TV debates, and finally various reports from Ministry of External Affairs. Next, coming to this essay, India's soft diplomacy, paving its path for its global leadership. What does it mean? What is meant by soft diplomacy? As we have said, we need to understand the concepts associated with each of the terms given in the essay first. That is our first step. And the second step is to give a thematic introduction to address each of the terms in a very coherent manner. That is why you can build that based on that you can build a thesis statement, means the future prospect of the essay. What is actual requirement of the essay, and what is the need, and what are the points or dimensions that you are going to take, and what will be the way forward that you are going to present. This is the thesis statement. This step by step you have to mention. These are the 3 steps involved, which is actually a foundation for the essay. And second aspect, after this foundation, you need to start writing this essay with multiple in various dimensions, by addressing core theme in each of the dimensions without deviating from it. So, first term that you need to decode here is soft diplomacy. What does it mean? Yes, you know that hard power is the military power and strength of a country, and also the economic power. But when it comes to the soft diplomacy, the moral and also certain ethical contributions, which are very natural and instinctive in nature, which is inbuilt in a country. For example, India's religious diversity and pluralism and tolerance and peace, non-violent motto and struggle, at the same time certain values and ideals of Indian society, that means the family system and cultural heritage, right? And India's diaspora, their abundant plural cultural, and at the same time their humbleness and humility wherever they go in any part of the country, their contribution to those countries, their contribution in terms of economy and social harmony in those countries. This is all the soft diplomacy of any country. Usually, India has this soft diplomacy more than that of any other country in the world. This is first point. So, you have understood about the soft diplomacy. So, it may be in the form of formal diplomacy or informal diplomacy. The formal diplomacy, the soft diplomacy, the cultural festivals that are organized by our country in various parts of the world, and to integrate those values into their native cultures. This is an official celebration of any country to integrate with the culture of other countries. This is called a soft diplomacy, official in the form of official meets, celebrations, and something. Next, coming to this informal diplomacy. Informal means it is not completely organized by any of the countries, but people, they themselves integrate with their cultural mutual embracement of this plurality. It is an organic evolution of any society where it integrates with other cultures. So such an integration will naturally develop a positive attitude towards any of the countries. Example, USA has a lot of interest towards India And recently, Prime Minister of India, when he was addressing the US Congress, he said around 100 plus senates of USA visited our country. Isn't it? 100 plus senators have visited our country to explore what is India, what is its strength of democracy. And even democracy has become soft diplomacy rather than a political aspect nowadays. Yes? Is there any doubt? Is there no doubt? Right. So, this is called the soft diplomacy. It is neither military strength nor the economic giant, a powerful country to take somebody's to dominate or to make hegemonical themselves in the world power. So this is a core understanding. This is a basic, very fundamental aspect regarding soft diplomacy. And coming to this global leadership, what is meant by global leadership? Initially, to have a strong military power and to have one of the largest economies in the world. Is this a global leadership actually? See, a leader who has foresightedness and visionary thinking and who comes forward when a crisis occurs and taking it as a challenge and making it as an opportunity. This is a leadership quality. So, India's leadership is always in the form of not in the form of completely military strength or economic power. Okay, India is one of the largest economies and emerging economies, and definitely it will come soon to be a third largest economy. Very soon it will become a third largest economy. Yes, that is fine. And India's India's contribution to peacekeeping force is highest in the world. That is fine. India's diaspora across the world is also very high. That is fine, and their contribution is fine. And India's global leadership and decision making and standing beside or on behalf of third world countries when a crisis occurs, example the COVID-19, including non-alignment movement. Since non-alignment movement, India has been focusing on certain areas or lacunas where the global leadership is usually failing. So, example, anti-racial and also anti-colonial, anti-imperialistic ideology that was promoted by India in the form of non-alignment, and also the Panchashil. These all are India's leadership values. India doesn't want to show any military strength or becoming a threatening country of any of the neighboring countries. And at the same time, India hasn't been showing any kind of hegemonical attitude towards its neighbors and also other small third world countries, in neither exploitative nor imperialistic in nature. So India has its own level of leadership, a unique leadership. So it is a non-war country, world war countries. If you compare the world war countries, they are victorious countries, they are dominating the world, they have veto powers, and they have extra stake in the world organizations, and even in World Bank and also other IMF. So this is not equitable. The world power which is led by these victorious countries, the world leadership which is led by these victorious countries is not actually equitable. Therefore, India is balancing and acting as voice on behalf of third world countries. This is actually strength of India. This is the soft diplomacy which is India projecting, which is being projected by our country, right? So that is what actually the Ministry of External Affairs mentioned in its 16th report on prospects and limitations of India's soft diplomacy, soft power. So India's soft diplomacy is paving a path for its global leadership. And soft diplomacy in terms of rehabilitation activities, where a crisis occurs in any of the countries, Operation Rahat in Yemen, and also Maitri when an earthquake occurs in Nepal region, and where in various parts of the country, wherever the crisis occurs, India is the first country to be a savior for not only Indians but also other countries, including the COVID-19 pandemic situation. India has rehabilitated and also provided free vaccination to 100 plus countries, and those third world countries, in our Resina dialogue, has expressed this immense gratitude towards India. And most of the countries, third world countries, haven't even followed the protocols to show their gratitude towards the Prime Minister who officially visited other countries. Okay, and they are touching the feet of the, I mean, our major de facto power ruler. Okay, this is what the India's strength. This is neither a fearful relationship, right? It is not a threatening country. It is a most soft country, and it is the most, I mean, accessible country to the third world countries, right? So that is actually the strength of India. At the same time, India will never lose any kind of relationship or enmity between among those developed countries, while taking voice or standing on behalf of those third world countries. India has never gone against any of the victorious countries or developed countries. So India has a balanced relationship. It is actually acting as a bridge between developed and underdeveloped countries. So that is the strength of actual India, which is a real leadership projected by India, right? At the same time, India is nuclear power country. India has, yes, definitely high submarines and highest level of military strength. India is going to be third largest economy in the world. And India has revived from COVID-19 pandemic very soon compared to other countries, is growing faster than anybody. And these are the strengths actually India has been having, and also it is inherent strength of India. It is not either imposed or something else. Okay, this is actually inherent strength of India to have a lot of tolerance for any kind of crisis and situation. Okay. So, coming to this kind of introduction, what would be your actual introduction here? See, soft diplomacy has to be mentioned inherently, implicitly within the introduction part, and at the same time, the qualities of leadership that India has been upholding for last after simply post-independence. So, soft diplomacy has become an integral part of India's foreign policy. It is an integral part of India's foreign policy. It is neither a militaristic country or it is a threatening country. It is not a hard power country, right? So, it will always show its generosity, its plurality, its acceptance, its tolerance, its accommodation, its assimilation, its attitude in terms of assimilation, accommodation, acceptance, tolerance. So, and promoting peace, harmony, and definitely at the same time taking stand on behalf of third world countries against against these kind of racism and imperialism, right? So, with the country leveraging its cultural and economic strength to promote its interest and enhance global influence, India has been enhancing its global influence. It is called soft power, which is mentioned implicitly rather than explicitly, right? This is first aspect. And second, coming to the example part, because you have mentioned the soft diplomacy, that is vaccine Maitri showed an apt testimony of soft power. COVID-19 vaccines to other countries in need, and initiative showcased India's capabilities as a global leader and responsible actor. So, who takes responsibility in any critical situation? Definitely, there is an emergence of leadership at that time. So, here India has showed its leadership quality in the crisis situation in the form of vaccine Maitri. And this example illustrates how soft diplomacy can help build bridge between the countries and establish a nation's leadership on world stage. Now, you got to understand that what is soft diplomacy and what is actual leadership at global arena. This is implicitly mentioned in the introduction part. Next, then, connect this introduction with the actual theme of the essay in the form of thesis statement to give a future projection to develop your essay in organized fashion. So, defining soft diplomacy, yes, it is done. And what are the things that we have addressed? Yes, we have defined soft diplomacy, but not exclusively. It was implicit in nature in the introduction part. And next, providing an initiative. Yes, India has, this initiative has showed the leadership quality of India rather than mentioning what is leadership in the global platforms, on the global platforms. Next, how that initiative play a way for global leadership, that is also important. Yes, these are the elements that we have mentioned in the introduction part itself. Next, With the increasing importance of soft power diplomacy in shaping international relations, it is crucial to examine the role of this strategy in promoting a country's global influence. Transition towards thesis statement. So what does it mean? What is the transition? Now you have completed your introduction part. When you are coming to this thesis statement part, you have to build a connecting line. Okay? So this connecting line is what? It is very important to have soft diplomacy in enhancing, in shaping one's international relations, and definitely we need to examine the strategy, how it should be promoted in the global platforms. So next, coming to this thesis statement, you have to mention the steps. First, significance of soft power. Second, countries' policy objectives. And third, what is the contribution that is made by India and that made India to raise as a global leader. So, you have to interlink this soft diplomacy with the global leadership and various implications associated with it. I mean, certain soft diplomacy is fine, but there are also certain challenges, definitely. And how will you influence the global society with this power? Is it sufficient? This is also a small critical analysis you have to do at the end. So, you have given 4 steps here in the thesis statement. These 4 steps are sufficient for you to have a complete understanding of the entire essay and to give a guiding light and path for the examiner on which line you are going to present your essay. And what is your first step of this, second step of this, third step, and you have mentioned there. Therefore, on these lines, you will be writing the essay, and the examiner will have a connectivity with the thesis statement that you have given, and the thesis statement and the answer which is actually connected with the theme of the essay properly. This is about your alignment of the essay in very coherent, organized fashion. These are next, significance of India's soft power. India's soft power, yes, you need to elaborate each of the points. What is the actual soft power of India and that can influence the global world? What is significance? Yes, before coming to this soft power of India, for various examples, you need to emphasize the significance of soft power. What will it do? What is the contribution of soft power? First, it will promote interests of a country. Yes, it will promote peace and harmony. It will attract investments. Yes, definitely it is a peaceful country. You can invest here comfortably and you can expect certain returns. Yes, fine. And example, and at the same time, India is contributing in terms of health and wellness of any country, okay, across the globe. And the soft power of India is international. In this way, if we can give any example, International Yoga Day is one of the examples. Yes, is it true? And Make in India initiatives, Digital India campaigns, these are also becoming part of India's soft power, because come here, invest in India and grow bigger. This is an invitation given by India across the world and to various countries. This is called the soft nature, even in economic sphere of diplomacy. And coming to this part, soft power has become an increasingly important tool in foreign policy. Therefore, the cultural diplomacy part. What is the impact with the cultural diplomacy? India's cinemas are very much popular in even Central Asian countries, West Asian countries. Indian cinemas, first aspect. And music, Indian music, Carnatic, Hindustan music, it is a culmination of, and Hindustani music is a culmination of Indo-Persian musical forms. At the same time, this has been a soft power. This is not new to India to have this kind of soft power, first of all. India is a place for soft power, definitely. It is not new. But now, it has been expanding after the LPG. Liberalization, privatization, globalization, and people have been migrating across Ghana, and also you are receiving immigrants. Therefore, the culture of India is being projected across the world, and the nature of India through the diaspora is also projected. And most of the CEOs, most of the top end companies are recruiting Indians as CEOs, right? This is an indication that Indians are very soft in nature. They themselves admit and agree to it, right? So cultural diplomacy, the culture, that is the Indian cinema, Indian music, Indian dance forms, Indian literature, Indian cuisine and gastronomy. India has a huge diversity in food culture also. So yoga, everything. And next, for instance, Bollywood has a lot of massive following in Egypt, Israel too, and Russia, and West Asia and Central Asian countries. PRS India has mentioned exclusively about these things, and also PIB. I have given links for this essay. You can go through them once again. India has a strong tradition of education again. It is giving a greater number of examples for convenience. Example here. Here, attracting thousands of students across the world. And also it is not new to India. Nalanda University had 1500 plus students from various countries, various places across the Asia. And not only from Asia, but also from, even from, there are certain testimonies who have come from Eurasia and African nations. The present agreements with Japan, USA were also given there. I have given you. And next, diaspora part. Yes, I have given you various examples regarding diaspora of India, because our diaspora is contributing hugely to the economy and social harmony of various countries. Okay, even scientists, health, education professionals, and software industry, IT-enabled services. In all areas, our Indian diaspora is very huge in developed countries too, not only developing countries. So we have given certain statistics regarding India. Example, India has large diaspora with more than 31 million people, including over 13 million non-resident Indians and 18 million people of Indian origin, in which in various countries. So on these lines, Ministry of External Affairs brought a mechanism to interact with India, that is what? Pravas Bharati Divas, right? So the committee recommended formulating a mechanism to proactively interact with Indian diaspora with missions across abroad. And also it recommended holding designated events to solicit their feedback and suggestions for better regular engagement with host country. This is called official soft diplomacy. As I have said initially, this is official soft diplomacy to streamline India's diaspora and also making them to contribute India's global leadership, emerge as a global leadership. And similarly, economic diplomacy is also very soft in nature. It is neither a debt trap policy which is adopted by China. Okay, China gives huge loans to these underdeveloped countries, and finally they'll occupy certain territories and they will never even pay back the debt. It will go under debt trap policy. This kind of policy, this is very hard in nature. This is not accepted by India. India has very good relationship with Asian countries, that is Association of Southeast Asian, in the form of Act East policy, from Look East to Act East policy. This is India's credibility. Okay, India is not at a threat, and also in the form of International Solar Alliance, it is also a greatest collaboration of India. Okay, to make our economies more sustainable, our energy sector to be more sustainable, and India's contribution in the form of Digital India, Make in India, are also very soft in nature in terms of diplomacy. Okay, they train many African nations to adapt this digital economy. Okay, and they are also training them to produce this solar energy. This is India's soft diplomacy. And even in Afghanistan, which is a Taliban hit area and a place for always vulnerable to this terrorism. So in these areas, India has contributed so much in the form of education and building parliament and building a Salma Dam. Okay, and for their economic development and health and wellness. India has been maintaining its greatest soft relationship. Okay, even in conflict zones. So this is India's contribution. So the significance, implications, and also the global influence to this is global influence in the form of promoting great shared values and investing in education and supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. These are actual contributions of India. And developing multilateralism rather than unipolar world. Okay, these are actual contributions made by India in the form of soft diplomacy. I think you got to know the various dimensions associated with it. You can have your own content, but this is a static content. No, anybody can have this kind of content to present in the examination. But ultimately, what is your ability to connect with the theme? That is more important. What is your coherent ability? What is your organization of information ability? So that is more important for this essay.